The Gulfstream G650's cabin hummed with filtered air and polished mahogany. Marcus Hale leaned back in cream leather, swirling scotch in crystal that cost more than most monthly salaries. So then I told the Lagos distributor. He paused, grinning at his audience of 3 executives. His voice shifted into exaggerated sing-songy peaks. "We are very, very interested in your proposal, sir." Laughter rippled through the cabin, sharp, immediate. The kind that seeks approval. Across from Marcus, Amara Okonkwo's pen stopped mid-signature on the Dubai contract revisions. Her spine straightened almost imperceptibly. She didn't look up from the document spread across her tray table. Marcus continued, emboldened. "I swear every sentence ended with 15 extra syllables. We shall be making the considerations with utmost seriousness. Oh, yes." More laughter. His CFO nearly choked on champagne. Amara's assistant Chen glanced nervously toward her. Amara's expression remained neutral, professional. Only the white pressure on her knuckles gripping the pen betrayed anything beneath the surface. "Cultural immersion," Marcus announced, raising his glass. "That's what closes deals, gentlemen. You have to speak their language." He winked at his own joke. The intercom crackled. "Mr. Hale, priority message from Dubai." Marcus pressed the button. "Go ahead." "Sir, the Saudi partners land in 90 minutes. Their translator has resigned. They're requesting immediate confirmation that translation services will be available for classical Arabic and..." A pause. "Yoruba trade dialect negotiations." The cabin went silent. Marcus's smile froze. His eyes cut to Amara for the first time since the mockery began. She met his gaze without blinking. Set down her pen with deliberate care. "We'll handle it," Marcus said into the intercom, voice tight. But his hand trembled slightly as he lowered his scotch. Because in that moment, he realized something terrifying. The only person on his entire team who could speak both languages fluently was the woman whose accent he'd just turned into entertainment. 72 hours earlier, Manhattan's skyline gleamed like scattered diamonds against November dusk. Amara Okonkwo stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of Hale Industries' 47th floor, watching yellow cabs thread through Fifth Avenue traffic far below. Her office was modest compared to the executive suites above. No mahogany, no art collections, just clean lines, efficient furniture, and 3 computer monitors displaying real-time data from markets in Lagos, London, and Singapore. She'd earned this space. Senior Vice President of International Acquisitions. 8 languages spoken fluently. 12 years of closing deals that others called impossible. Her assistant knocked. "The Dubai prep meeting is in 10. Marcus wants preliminary cultural briefs." Amara nodded, gathering her tablet. She wore royal blue that day. A structured blazer over ivory silk. Professional armor. Her locks were pulled back in a neat bun, silver earrings catching light as she moved. Walking through Hale Industries corridors meant navigating invisible hierarchies. Other executives nodded respectfully. Interns stepped aside. She'd built her reputation on competence so undeniable it couldn't be dismissed. But she'd also learned early. Excellence wasn't always enough. Sometimes you had to make yourself indispensable. The Dubai deal was her proving ground. 500 million in infrastructure investments. Saudi partners who valued cultural respect over profit margins. Marcus needed this win to secure his board position after last quarter's losses, and Amara needed the partnership she'd been promised for 3 years. The one that kept getting delayed, reconsidered. "Soon," Marcus always said. She paused at the executive elevator, catching her reflection in polished steel. Her father's voice echoed from childhood. "Your tongue is your passport. Amara, never let anyone make you ashamed of how you speak." She'd carried that lesson through Lagos primary schools, London boarding academies, Harvard negotiation seminars. Code switching wasn't weakness. It was strategy. But lately she wondered if strategy was just another word for erasure. The elevator opened. Marcus's voice already carried from the conference room ahead, loud, confident. unaware that in 72 hours he'd need her more than he'd ever admit. The conference room smelled like expensive coffee and leather portfolios. Marcus stood at the head of the glass table, sleeves rolled up, confidence radiating like heat. "Cultural intelligence," he announced as Amara entered. "That's what separates good deal makers from great ones." Amara took her seat beside Chen and the legal team. She opened her tablet, pulled up her Saudi Arabia brief. 14 pages of negotiation customs, religious considerations, business etiquette that could make or break half-billion-dollar handshakes. "Amara, walk us through it," Marcus said. Sitting on the table edge casually, she began. "Saudi business culture prioritizes relationship building over transaction speed. Initial meetings focus on personal connection. Direct negotiation tactics are considered disrespectful. They'll likely, how do we say partnership in Arabic?" Marcus interrupted. "Sharika," Amara replied smoothly. "But context matters. Classical versus sharika." Marcus repeated it slowly, exaggerating each syllable. "Like that?" "Close, the R is softer. More, Amara, maybe stick to strategy." "Not pronunciation." Marcus grinned at his CFO. "We've got translators for the accent work." The room chuckled. "Uncomfortable. Obligatory." Amara's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Of course. As I was saying, Saudi partners value. Do you ever code switch?" Marcus asked suddenly. "Like tone down the accent for American clients?" Silence crystallized. Chen shifted in his seat. The legal counsel studied her laptop screen intently. "I adjust my communication style to match cultural contexts," Amara said evenly. "That's standard international business practice." Right. Marcus stood, pacing. "But like, when you're talking to the Lagos office, do you go full—" He shifted his voice into that sing-song mockery again. "We are very, very pleased to be working together, oh yes." Someone laughed nervously. Amara set down her stylus, looked directly at Marcus. "That's a caricature, not code switching." "Hey, lighten up." Marcus raised his hands defensively. "We're all friends here. I'm just saying, cultural flexibility goes both ways, right? Maybe dial back the accent for the Saudi meeting. Keep it neutral, professional." The word professional landed like a slap. "My accent," Amara said slowly, "doesn't impact my professional competence. Of course not. I'm just saying, look, they're conservative, traditional. Let's not give them any reason to focus on anything except the deal." Marcus checked his watch. "Anyway, flight leaves at 6. Pack light. We'll handle the heavy lifting in Dubai." The meeting dissolved. People gathered laptops, avoided eye contact. Chen leaned close as they left. "Are you okay?" Amara didn't answer, just walked toward her office with measured steps, chin high, because breaking in public wasn't an option. It never had been. Amara closed her office door, locked it, leaned against the cool wood and breathed. The city stretched before her windows, indifferent, glittering, vast. She'd conquered this landscape through precision and patience. Every word measured, every gesture calculated. And still, after 12 years, Marcus heard her vowels before her expertise. She moved to her desk, opened her laptop but didn't see the screen. Just her father's face from 20 years ago, his textile factory in Lagos crumbling around him. "I lost the London contract," he'd told 8-year-old Amara. "They said they couldn't understand me. That my English was too local." She'd watched him shrink after that, watched confidence drain like water through clenched fists. Her mother had enrolled her in language courses the next week. French, Mandarin, Arabic, German. "Your tongue is your passport," her father had said, pulling her close. "Learn every language you can, so they can never silence you." She'd become fluent in 8 languages by 25, built a career on bridging gaps others couldn't cross, translated not just words but entire cultural frameworks, and Marcus thought it was cute, a party trick, something to be toned down for important meetings. Amara pulled out her earbuds, cued her father's favorite Fela Kuti song. Let the Afrobeat fill her head, drown out Marcus's mockery. She wouldn't quit. Wouldn't give him that satisfaction. But she also wouldn't forget. Wouldn't forgive easily. Her phone buzzed. Chen. The Saudi partners just confirmed. They're bringing a full legal team. This is bigger than Marcus realizes. Amara smiled slowly. Typed back, good. Because sometimes the best revenge was being indispensable. And in 72 hours, Marcus would learn exactly how much he needed the accent he'd mocked. She stood, straightened her blazer, checked her reflection. Time to pack for Dubai and prepare for the moment when her voice would become the only thing standing between Marcus Hale and catastrophic failure. The flight to Dubai stretched endless. Amara sat in the jet's rear office, separated from Marcus's entourage by a sliding door that muffled their laughter, but didn't erase it. She reviewed the contract on her tablet, but her mind drifted to memory. Lagos, 1998. Her father's factory floor had smelled like cotton and machine oil. She'd done homework in the corner while he negotiated with British distributors over a crackling phone line. Yes, sir. No, sir, we can certainly accommodate. His accent thickened when he was nervous, vowels elongating, consonants softening. The contracts never came through. They don't trust us, he told her mother later, voice heavy. They hear my words and see someone unserious, unprofessional. 3 years later, the factory closed. Her father took a job as a logistics clerk. Never built anything again, but he'd built Amara instead. London boarding school at 11. She'd arrived with her Lagos accent bright and unfiltered. Other girls had mocked her within hours. Why do you talk so funny? Can't you speak properly? She'd spent her first year silent, listening, learning, letting BBC broadcasts reshape her tongue until she could switch between Nigerian and British English like changing clothes. Harvard at 18. She'd studied linguistics alongside business, fascinated by how power flowed through language, how accents signaled class, education, belonging, how speaking properly meant speaking like those already in power. But she'd also learned strategic code switching, when to use her Nigerian accent for authenticity, when to deploy crisp British vowels for authority, when to let American informality build rapport. Languages became her weapons. Not just English, but Arabic for Middle Eastern deals, Mandarin for Asian partnerships, French for European negotiations, Yoruba for West African trade networks. By 30, she was the youngest VP in Hale Industries history. By 35, she'd closed $2 billion in international acquisitions, but partnership kept slipping away. Next quarter, Marcus promised. After this deal, soon, Dubai was supposed to be different. The Saudi partners had requested her specifically. They'd reviewed her portfolio, noted her cultural competence, insisted she lead negotiations. Marcus had agreed, because refusing would have signaled disrespect. But his resentment had simmered for weeks. The mockery on the plane wasn't random. It was deliberate diminishment. Reminding her of her place, Amara closed her eyes, remembered her father's last words before the cancer took him. You became everything I couldn't. Don't let anyone make you small. She wouldn't, even if it meant watching Marcus fail first. Her tablet pinged. Email from the Saudi CEO's office. Looking forward to working with Ms. Okonkwo. We value partners who understand cultural nuance. Amara smiled. Forwarded it to Marcus without comment. Let him sit with that. Dubai's November heat hit like opening an oven. The car service whisked them to the Burj Al Arab in air-conditioned silence. Marcus checked his phone obsessively. Amara watched palm trees blur past, preparing mentally for the meeting. 24 hours until the Saudi partners arrived. She'd use that time to review classical Arabic contract terminology and Yoruba trade clauses, the specific combination the Saudis had mentioned. Unusual, that pairing. Most international deals used English or Arabic exclusively. The Yoruba component suggested something deeper. A test, perhaps. Proof of genuine cultural respect versus performative diversity. At the hotel, Chen pulled her aside while Marcus checked in. The translator situation is worse than they said. How worse? The Saudis' regular translator didn't quit. He was fired. Apparently, he made a cultural error in a previous deal that cost them 50 million. Now they're paranoid. Chen lowered his voice. And Marcus's backup translator only speaks modern Arabic, not classical. Amara's stomach dropped. Does Marcus know? He thinks it's fine. Thinks modern Arabic is close enough. It wasn't. Classical Arabic carried legal and religious weight. Using modern colloquialisms in formal contracts was like citing memes in a Supreme Court brief. And the Yoruba component. That was archaic West African trade. Language, ceremonial, used for binding agreements, that carried cultural honor beyond legal enforcement. Only someone fluent in both and understand the cultural context of each could navigate this negotiation, Amara calculated quickly. There were maybe 50 people in the world with that specific skill combination. She was one of them. Marcus's team had exactly 0. When does he find out? She asked. His translator arrives tonight. He'll realize then. Chen's eyes held something between sympathy and anticipation. He'd heard the mockery on the plane, watched Amara absorb the insult without breaking. Now they both knew. Marcus had laughed at the only person who could save him. Amara returned to her suite, unpacked methodically. Changed into casual linen, Dusty rose comfortable. Her phone rang. Marcus, we need to meet. Now, my sweet. His voice carried urgency stripped of earlier arrogance. She checked her reflection. Adjusted her posture. Let him wait 3 minutes before heading upstairs. When she knocked, Marcus opened immediately. His hair was disheveled. Tie loosened. The confident billionaire from the plane had been replaced by someone who'd just realized the ground beneath him was collapsing. The translator situation, he started. I know, Amara said calmly. You know? How do you... He stopped. Right, of course you know. You always know, she waited. Amara, I need your help. The words came hard, forced. I need you to translate tomorrow. Classical Arabic and Yoruba. You're the only one who can. She let the silence stretch. Watched him squirm. I'll do it, she finally said. His relief was immediate. Thank you. God, thank you. I'll double your... On one condition. His relief froze. Full partnership. Effective immediately. Equity stake, 20% of this deal's commission, and public acknowledgement at the next board meeting that this acquisition succeeded because of my cultural expertise. Marcus stared. Calculations flickered behind his eyes. That's a significant ask. It's a fair ask. And it's non-negotiable. He paced, ran his hands through his hair. She could see him weighing options he didn't have. Fine, done. We'll draft paperwork tonight. Amara nodded once. Then I'll see you at the meeting tomorrow. She turned to leave. Amara, she paused. About what I said on the plane. Save it. This is business. Let's keep it that way. She left before he could respond. But her hands shook in the elevator, because she'd just gambled everything on a single hand. If Marcus honored his word, she'd finally claim what she'd earned. If he didn't, well, she'd make sure he never closed another international deal without her. The Dubai morning arrived wrapped in golden light and tension. Amara dressed in emerald green, her power color. Her locks fell loose today, natural, unapologetic. Silver jewelry caught the sun. She'd reviewed the contract until 3 a.m., found 12 places where classical Arabic phrasing would prevent future disputes, identified 8 Yoruba ceremonial clauses that honored ancestral trade agreements the Saudis valued. This meeting would require more than translation. It demanded cultural choreography. At breakfast, Marcus approached her table. Sat uninvited. I spoke with legal last night, he said. They're drafting your partnership agreement. Good. We're on the same team now, partners. He tried for warmth. Failed. We'll see how the meeting goes. Amara, I need to know you're committed. That you're not going to... He searched for words. Sabotage this because of hurt feelings. She set down her coffee, met his eyes. My feelings aren't hurt, Marcus. They're clarified. You showed me exactly who you are. Now I'm showing you exactly what I'm worth. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you're getting. Either trust my professional competence or find another translator in... She checked her watch. 4 hours, he flinched, nodded. Left without another word, Chen appeared moments later. That was ice cold. That was necessary. The Saudi partners arrived precisely at noon. 3 men in traditional white thobes, led by CEO Khalid al-Rashid. His eyes were sharp, assessing. He greeted Marcus with polite formality, then turned to Amara. "Assalamu alaikum," he said in classical Arabic. "Peace be upon you." "Wa alaikum wassalam," Amara replied flawlessly, "and upon you peace." "Eka aro ogami." "Good afternoon, my elder." In Yoruba, signaling respect. Khalid's expression shifted. Recognition, approval. They moved to the conference room. Floor-to-ceiling glass overlooked the Persian Gulf. 23 floors up, the world looked manageable, conquerable. The first hour passed smoothly. Amara translated contract terms, cultural nuances, unspoken concerns. She became a bridge, not just between languages, but between worldviews. Marcus watched her work with something like wonder, or fear, perhaps both. Khalid asked questions in Arabic. She answered in English, then Yoruba for ceremonial clauses. The rhythm built, trust accumulating like compound interest. By hour 2, Marcus was smiling. Confident again, the deal seemed inevitable. Then Khalid switched to pure Yoruba. "Se oro yi dahu? Is this man genuine? Does your partner respect our traditions?" The room froze. Marcus didn't understand Yoruba. Couldn't read Khalid's tone. Had no idea the entire deal balanced on Amara's next words. She felt their eyes. Khalid's, his team's, Chen's from the corner. This was the test. The real one. Not language, character. Her father's voice. Your tongue is your passport. Her own voice, harder now. But my integrity is my foundation. She opened her mouth. The future hung on what came next. Amara's heartbeat thundered in the silence. Khalid's question echoed. Does he respect your traditions? She could answer truthfully. Tell Khalid about the mockery, the casual diminishment, the years of excellence rewarded with soon. One sentence in Yoruba would kill this deal. Vindication would be immediate, brutal, deserved. Marcus watched her unaware, smiling slightly, assuming her compliance. The pause stretched. Khalid's eyes held something unexpected. Kindness, but also challenge. He knew. Somehow he knew about the plane, the disrespect. This wasn't just a language test. It was a moral one. What kind of person does success make you? Amara thought of her father's factory floor, his voice shrinking with each rejected contract. How powerlessness had hollowed him from the inside. She thought of Marcus's laughter, echoing through the jet cabin. Very, very interested, oh yes. But she also thought of the partnership papers being drafted, the equity stake, the chance to never be diminished again. Revenge was a currency, but so was strategic patience. She met Khalid's gaze, switched to Yoruba. Onko. Seikhbon molekowe. He is learning, but I can teach him. Khalid's expression shifted microscopically. Respect, curiosity, kini ofeko. What does he need to learn? Itonisona. Humility, Khalid smiled. Not warmly, more like recognizing a chess move 3 steps ahead. He switched back to Arabic, speaking to his team rapidly. Marcus leaned forward, trying to read the room. What did he say? Marcus whispered urgently to Amara. She didn't answer immediately. Let him sweat. Khalid turned back. Spoke in accented English. Your colleague has impressed us. We would like to continue negotiations. Marcus exhaled. Excellent. Then we can... However, Khalid raised a hand. There is a complication in Section 7, a legal phrasing that requires revision. In classical Arabic, it carries unintended implications. What kind of implications? Marcus asked. Amara's blood chilled. She grabbed her tablet, scrolled to Section 7. Her eyes widened. There it was. a subordinate clause using tatawur instead of takadum. To Western translators, both meant development, but in classical Arabic legal context, tatawur implied civilizing the primitive. It was subtly, devastatingly condescending. Someone on Marcus's legal team had used basic translation software, created an accidental cultural insult embedded in contract language. This phrasing, Khalid said quietly, suggests you believe our culture requires improvement, evolution, that we are less than. Marcus paled. That's not, we would never, I know, Khalid said. It's an error, but it requires correction. Amara can fix it, Marcus said quickly. Right now. I'm afraid I cannot, Amara said. Everyone turned to her. This isn't a translation error. It's a structural problem. The entire section needs rewriting, with cultural competence your legal team doesn't possess. It would take hours. Days, perhaps. She paused. I'm just a translator. This requires senior legal authority. Marcus's eyes widened with understanding, and horror. Khalid stood. Then we are done for today. Wait. Marcus rose desperately. Please, let's... Mr. Hale. Khalid's voice was steel-wrapped in silk. We value partners who respect nuance, who understand that words carry weight beyond literal meaning. If you cannot guarantee cultural integrity in your contracts, we cannot guarantee our participation. He moved toward the door. His team followed. Marcus grabbed Amara's arm. Fix this, please, whatever you need. She looked at his hand on her arm. He released her immediately. I need time, she said. And authority. Full authority to renegotiate terms without oversight. You have it. Anything. Khalid paused at the door. Ms. Okonkwo, we will return tomorrow afternoon. 3 o'clock. I trust you will have solutions, she nodded. The Saudis left. The door closed. Marcus sank into his chair. How bad is this? He asked. Amara gathered her materials. It's catastrophic. That clause appears 17 times throughout the contract. Every instance needs cultural rewriting, legal restructuring. And I'm the only person on your team who can do it. So do it. I will. After we formalize my partnership. In writing, signed tonight. Marcus looked at her. Really looked at her. Saw the steel beneath the emerald green. The power he'd mistaken for accommodation. You planned this, he said slowly. No, your team's incompetence created this. I'm just the only one who can fix it. She walked to the door, paused. And Marcus, that mockery on the plane? Every syllable you exaggerated. That was the same linguistic expertise that's now the only thing standing between you and losing $500 million. I hope the laughter was worth it. She left him sitting there. The Dubai sun blazed through windows. The Persian Gulf sparkled below. Beautiful. Indifferent. Chen found her in the hallway. Holy shit. Get me coffee, Amara said. Strong. And tell Marcus I'll be in my suite. When the partnership papers are ready, he can bring them personally. She returned to her room, locked the door, let herself shake for exactly 90 seconds. Then she opened her laptop, pulled up the contract, and began the work of saving a man who'd never believed her voice mattered, because this wasn't about Marcus anymore. It was about proving to herself, to Khalid, to every person who'd ever told her to tone it down, that her accent, her expertise, her entire self was not just valuable, it was irreplaceable. Amara's suite felt smaller after midnight. Contract sections covered the desk, floor, coffee table. Red ink marked every problematic phrase. 17 instances of cultural condescension, all requiring surgical precision to remove. Her phone showed 43 missed calls from Marcus. She'd ignored them all. The partnership papers had arrived at 9 p.m., hand-delivered by Marcus himself, looking exhausted. She'd read every word twice, made him wait in the hallway while she verified terms with her personal lawyer, then signed without comment. He'd tried to apologize again. She'd closed the door in his face. Now at 2 a.m., Dubai's lights glittered through floor-to-ceiling windows. Beautiful, lonely. She thought about calling her mother in Lagos, decided against it. What would she say? I finally got what I deserved, but it feels hollow. Her reflection stared back from the darkened window. Emerald green blazer abandoned hours ago. Locks tied up messily. Silver jewelry discarded. She looked tired, triumphant, empty. Khalid's question echoed, "Does he respect your traditions?" She'd answered diplomatically, "He is learning." But the truth sat heavier. Marcus didn't respect her traditions. He'd needed her fluency without valuing her humanity, and she'd saved him anyway. Was that strength? Or just survival instinct so deeply trained she couldn't distinguish it from self-respect anymore? Her father's textile samples still lived in her suitcase. Burnt orange and royal blue fabric, swatches he'd designed before the factory closed. She carried them everywhere. Reminders of what happened when your voice didn't matter. She pressed one against her cheek, felt the weave, remembered his hands working the loom. "I did it, Daddy," she whispered. "I made them listen," but her throat tightened. Because making them listen wasn't the same as making them see her. Her laptop pinged. Email from Khalid's office. Sent at 2:17 a.m. Ms. Okonkwo. I recognize the position you are in. Tomorrow is not just about business. It is about dignity. I will be watching to see if your partner has learned what you tried to teach him. Respect is not given. It is demonstrated. K.A. Amara closed her eyes. Exhaled slowly. This wasn't over. Tomorrow would test whether Marcus's desperation could transform into genuine change. Whether her gamble would pay off or explode spectacularly. She returned to the contract. Section 7 glowed on her screen, waiting for solutions only she could provide. Outside, Dubai slept. Inside, Amara worked, because proving your worth never stopped, not even after you'd already won. Morning light found Amara still at her desk. Coffee cups multiplied like evidence, but the contract was finished. She'd rewritten every problematic section. So replaced Tata War with Tanmia, partnership development, not civilizing evolution. Changed power-imbalanced phrasing to reciprocal language. Embedded Yoruba ceremonial clauses that honored ancestral trade agreements without Western superiority. The revision wasn't just translation, it was cultural architecture. Every word chosen to build bridges instead of hierarchy. Chen arrived at 7 a.m. with breakfast. "You look terrible." I look victorious. "Same thing in this business." He set down fresh coffee. "Marcus is downstairs, pacing the lobby like a trapped animal." "Good, let him pace," she showered. Changed into cobalt blue, bold, unapologetic. Let her locks fall naturally. Applied minimal makeup. Today wasn't about accommodation. It was about authority. At 9 a.m. she called Marcus's suite. "It's done," she said when he answered. "The contract? Completely rewritten. Culturally sound. Legally airtight. Can I see it?" "At the meeting." "With Khalid." "Amara, I need to review. You need to trust me. The way you should have from the beginning." Silence. Then, "Okay," she hung up. Smiled slightly. At 2 p.m. she met Marcus in the lobby. He wore grey, expensive, conservative. His confidence looked borrowed, uncomfortable. "Thank you," he said, "for this, for everything. Thank your incompetent legal team. They created this situation. I mean for the plane. Don't!" She cut him off. "Not here, not now. Today is about the deal. We'll discuss the rest later." They rode the elevator in silence. Marcus kept glancing at her, trying to read her expression. She gave him nothing. The conference room waited. Same view. Different energy. Khalid arrived at exactly 3 p.m. His team carried new documents. He greeted Marcus formally, then turned to Amara. "Osenfune tosele," he said in Yoruba. "Thank you for what you've done." "Kosi wahala," she replied. "It was no trouble." But her eyes said you understood everything. "Thank you for testing him." Khalid smiled slightly, nodded once. They sat. Amara distributed her revised contract sections, explained each change in 3 languages: English for Marcus, Classical Arabic for legal precision, Yoruba for ceremonial weight. Khalid's team reviewed intently, murmured among themselves. One lawyer asked clarifying questions in Arabic. Amara answered with the kind of fluency that only came from true cultural immersion, not academic study. Marcus watched like someone witnessing magic. Or surgery. Both terrifying, both essential. After 40 minutes, Khalid set down the documents. Looked at Marcus. This is acceptable. More than acceptable. It is exactly what partnership should sound like, Marcus exhaled. Then we have a deal. We have a foundation. But there is one final matter. Khalid's expression hardened slightly. This revision represents significant work. Work that required expertise your team lacked. I need assurance that Ms. Okonkwo will lead all cultural aspects of our ongoing partnership. Of course, Marcus said quickly. Amara is now a full partner. I don't mean formally. I mean practically. Khalid looked between them. Mr. Hale, I've been in business 40 years. I recognize when someone is valued versus tolerated. Which is Ms. Okonkwo to your organization? The question hung like a blade. Marcus's face paled. He opened his mouth. Closed it. Amara waited. Khalid waited. The room held its breath. This was the moment. Not the partnership papers. Not the contract revisions. This Marcus could deflect. Make promises. Perform respect without meaning it, or he could finally tell the truth. Marcus stood, walked to the window. Dubai's skyline blazed in afternoon sun. He was silent for 15 seconds, 20, 30. Finally he turned. The truth? His voice was quieter than Amara had ever heard. I tolerated her. For years I tolerated her brilliance because I was threatened by it. Amara's breath caught. Khalid leaned back, listening. I watched her close deals I couldn't understand, Marcus continued. Navigate cultures I couldn't access. Build relationships that made me irrelevant. And instead of celebrating that, I diminished her. He looked at Amara directly. On the plane, when I mocked your accent, that wasn't a joke. It was control. Making you small so I could feel bigger. The confession cracked something open. Chen shifted uncomfortably in the corner. I convinced myself it was cultural sensitivity, Marcus said. That asking you to tone it down was professional advice. But it was erasure. I wanted your skills without your identity. Your fluency without your voice. Khalid's expression remained neutral. And now? Now I understand how catastrophically wrong I was. Marcus's hands trembled slightly. Amara didn't just save this deal. She saved me from my own ignorance. And he paused. I don't know if I deserve her partnership, but I'm asking for the chance to earn it. Silence filled the room. Amara stood slowly, walked to where her revised contract sections lay on the table, picked up section 7, the one that had nearly destroyed everything. This section, she said, voice steady, used language that implied superiority, that your culture was more advanced, more legitimate. It was insulting, unacceptable. She turned to Marcus. Do you understand what that felt like? Reading words that dismissed entire histories? Entire peoples? I'm beginning to, Marcus said quietly. For 12 years I've heard micro-versions of that language. Tone it down. Keep it professional. Dial back the accent. Every phrase told me the same thing, that my authentic self was too much, too loud, too other. Her voice hardened. But my accent isn't a costume I can remove. It's my history, my father's dreams, my mother's prayers. It's Lagos streets and London academies and Harvard libraries. It's every language I learned to bridge worlds you couldn't even see. Khalid nodded slightly. His team watched, transfixed. So when you ask if you deserve my partnership, Amara continued, the answer is no. You don't. Not yet. Marcus flinched. But, Amara said, deserving isn't static. It's earned through consistent action. Changed behavior, genuine respect demonstrated daily, not performed for deals. Not activated when convenient always. She set down the document. Can you do that? Marcus met her eyes. I'll spend every day trying. That's not an answer. Yes. His voice strengthened. Yes, I can. And I will. And when I fail, because I will fail, I'll listen when you correct me. Khalid broke his silence. Ms. Okonkwo, do you believe him? The room held its breath. Amara studied Marcus. Saw exhaustion, shame, something that might be genuine humility. I believe he understands the stakes, she said carefully. Whether that translates to lasting change, we'll see. She turned to Khalid. But I also believe this deal can work, because I've built protections into every clause. Cultural respect isn't optional language. It's legally binding requirement. If Hale Industries fails to honor partnership terms, including respect for cultural expertise, there are consequences. Khalid's eyebrows rose. You embedded accountability mechanisms? In 17 places, mirroring the 17 instances of disrespectful language I removed. She smiled slightly. I learned from the best mentors. My father taught me languages, but business school taught me leverage. For the first time, Khalid laughed. Genuine, warm. You are formidable. I'm prepared, he stood, extended his hand to Amara first. We have a deal, but I'm signing because of you, not him. She shook firmly. How soon? Khalid turned to Marcus. Mr. Hale, I will hold you to your words, and Miss Okonkwo will hold you to this contract. I suggest you remember both. Marcus shook his hand. I will. The signing took 30 minutes. 3 languages, multiple witnesses. When the final signature dried, $500 million in infrastructure investment was secured. But more than that, something had shifted. Not fixed, not healed. Fard cracked open. As Khalid's team prepared to leave, he paused beside Amara, spoke quietly in Yoruba. Jwoko obiase inko awonomode. Pele pele. Felu ife inu. Hibererereni. You taught him like teaching a child, gently, with patience. It's a good start. Amo abajo oti pari, Amara replied. But the test isn't over. Rara, osese bere. No, it's just beginning, he left. The door closed. Chen excused himself quietly. Marcus and Amara stood alone in the conference room. Dubai glittered beyond the windows. The contract sat between them, proof of what her voice could build when finally given authority. What happens now? Marcus asked. Amara gathered her materials. Now you learn what partnership actually means. And I watch to see if today was performance or transformation. And if I fail, then 17 contract clauses will remind you why respecting your partners isn't optional. She moved toward the door, paused. But Marcus, I'm not hoping you fail. I'm hoping you become the leader who deserved my expertise all along. She left him there, walked to the elevator, pressed the button for her floor. Only when the doors closed did she let herself feel it. The weight, the victory, the exhaustion she'd won. But winning felt different than she'd imagined, less like triumph, more like survival, and somehow that was enough. 3 months later, Manhattan winter wrapped Hale Industries Tower in steel gray sky. Amara stood at her new office window, 49th floor corner suite, partner nameplate gleaming. The city looked different from up here, conquerable. Her phone buzzed. Marcus, board meeting in 10. You ready? She smiled. Typed back, born ready. The transformation hadn't been instant. Marcus stumbled frequently those first weeks. Interrupted her in meetings. Forgot to credit her work. Old habits died hard, but he caught himself now. Apologized genuinely. Adjusted behavior. Last month he'd introduced her at an investor conference. Called her the cultural architect of Hale Industries' international success. Meant it yesterday he'd sent company-wide memo mandating bias training. Hired a diversity officer. Started restructuring promotion pipelines. Not perfect, but progress. The Saudi deal had expanded. 4 additional partnerships built on the foundation Amara had designed. Each contract embedded cultural respect as legal requirement. Each negotiation led by her. She'd hired 3 new team members, all multilingual, all from marginalized communities. All brilliant, Chen knocked. They're ready for you. The boardroom hummed with expensive suits and older faces. Amara entered wearing burnt orange, her father's favorite color. Her locks were twisted into an elegant crown. Gold jewelry caught the light. Marcus stood. "Everyone, thank you for coming. Today marks a significant milestone." He pulled up a presentation. "Our international division has grown 47% this quarter. We've secured partnerships in 6 new markets. Revenue has exceeded projections by 200 million. Murmurs of approval rippled through the room. "This success," Marcus continued, "is directly attributable to one person's vision. Her cultural expertise, her linguistic fluency, her refusal to accept mediocrity from me or this organization." He looked at Amara. "I've learned more about leadership from watching her work than from 20 years of running this company. She doesn't just bridge cultures. She builds entirely new frameworks for respectful partnership." He gestured to her. "Amara, would you present your expansion proposal?" She stood, connected her laptop, brought up her presentation. 18 new markets, all requiring cultural nuance most American companies ignored. "Traditional international business," she began, "treats cultural difference as obstacle, something to overcome or minimize. I propose we treat it as asset." She clicked through slides. "Every market here speaks languages most of you don't, practices customs you've never studied, values things your MBA programs never taught." Her voice strengthened. "But I speak their languages, understand their values, and I've built a team that can navigate complexity you can't even perceive. Not because we're smarter, because we're multilingual, multicultural, multi-everything." She looked around the room. "The question isn't whether you can afford to invest in cultural competence. It's whether you can afford not to." She presented for 20 minutes, fielded questions, demonstrated ROI, showed projections. When she finished, the board voted unanimously. 18 new markets, 50 million in expansion budget. Her division, her leadership. After the meeting, Marcus walked her back to her office. "That was masterful," he said. "That was necessary. This company has been leaving money on the table for decades because it only valued one way of thinking." "I know. I was part of that problem." They paused at her door. The skyline stretched behind them. Marcus hesitated. "Am I doing better?" Amara considered. "You're doing different. Better is a process, not a destination." "That's fair," he smiled slightly. "Thank you."
"For not giving up on me."
"On us. I didn't do it for you," Amara said honestly. "I did it because my father's dreams deserved to succeed. Because every person whose accent was mocked deserved to see excellence recognized. Because I refuse to be made small. I understand. Do you?" "Really?" Marcus met her eyes. "I'm beginning to, and I'll keep learning." Amara nodded. "Then we have a foundation." He left. She entered her office, sat at her desk, solid mahogany now like the executive suites. Her father's fabric samples sat framed on the wall, burnt orange and royal blue preserved behind glass. She touched the frame gently, whispered, "We made it, Daddy, finally." Outside, snow began to fall. Manhattan transformed into something softer, quieter. Amara opened her laptop, began drafting plans for the 18 new markets, because winning once wasn't enough. Building something lasting, that was the real victory, and she was just getting started. 6 months after Dubai, Amara stood before Hale Industries' inaugural Diversity and Cultural Competence Summit. 300 employees filled the auditorium. Marcus sat front row listening. "My father," Amara began, "lost everything because people couldn't hear past his accent. He spoke 4 languages, built factories from nothing, created beauty with his hands. But Western distributors heard his Nigerian vowels and assumed incompetence." The room was silent. "I learned early, your voice is political. How you sound determines whether you're heard. Where you're from determines whether you're trusted. What you look like determines whether you're valued." She paused. "So I learned to code switch. To make myself palatable, acceptable, professional." Her voice hardened. "But professional is just a word powerful people use to mean like us, to demand conformity, to erase difference." She walked to the edge of the stage. I'm done code switching for comfort. Done making myself smaller, so others feel bigger. My accent isn't a flaw to be corrected. It's proof I've survived worlds most of you will never navigate. Heads nodded. Someone started clapping. Others joined. If you take one thing from today, Amara said, remember this. Linguistic diversity isn't a hiring checkbox. It's strategic advantage. Cultural competence isn't soft skills. It's the hard skill that separates companies that grow from companies that stagnate. She looked directly at Marcus. And if you ever ask someone to tone down their accent, you're not promoting professionalism. You're demanding erasure. You're telling them their history doesn't matter. Their family doesn't matter. They don't matter. The applause swelled. So speak. Fully. Authentically. In whatever accent carries your truth. And demand that the world learn to listen. She stepped back. The room rose to its feet. Later in her office, Chen brought champagne. You're becoming famous. That speech is going viral. Good. Maybe it'll reach someone who needs permission to stop shrinking, her phone buzzed. Unknown number, she answered. Ms. Okonkwo? A young voice, nervous. I saw your speech. I'm a Nigerian student at Columbia. My professors keep telling me my accent is distracting. I was thinking about speech therapy. But after hearing you, don't, Amara said firmly. Don't change yourself. Change their expectations. But what if they never take you seriously? Then you find spaces that will build opportunities they can't access. Prove that your voice isn't a barrier. It's a bridge to worlds they'll never understand. Silence. Then, thank you. Thank you for calling. For reminding me why this matters. She hung up, looked out at Manhattan's infinite lights. Somewhere in that city, someone was being told to sound different. Be smaller. Fit in. And somewhere else someone was refusing, speaking fully. Building power from the very thing others tried to silence. Amara had learned the hardest lesson. Your voice is your power, not despite your accent. Because of it, every syllable carries history. Every vowel holds survival. Every word is proof you navigated impossible. Worlds and emerged speaking truths others couldn't pronounce. So, speak, loudly, clearly, unapologetically, and watch them scramble to learn your language. Because in the end, the ones who mock your accent are just revealing their own monolingual limitations. And you've always been fluent in possibilities they couldn't imagine.